No, I didn't change the date. I'm dumb. Whoops. I hope that does that update. I'm curious. Okay, we're live, by the way.
Okay, cool. Hello. Yep, I see it.
Do 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 do. Where does it say? Sorry, I'm just looking for the live one, making sure. Okay, cool. It updated the date.
Okay.
Alrighty. Hello, everyone. As usual, we'll do quick introductions. I'm Sabian. I'm no longer completely sick, so my voice sounds normal again.
Still sounds pretty weird. Hey,
Eh.
this is Zach. I sound normal. I should sound better than Sabian. So,
Whoa, 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 whoa,
yeah.
whoa, 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 whoa.
Can you hear me good in the stream? Yeah. Okay, I can hear myself.
Okay, cool.
Good.
Yeah, I don't have volume on because I don't like when you have an
I'm
echo
checking.
for whatever reason, dude. It throws my brain so far off. I just can't concentrate correctly. So today's stream is going to be kind of relaxed. It's just going to be kind of some chit chat. We're not really doing anything programming intensive. We're hoping, based on the people that we have watching, which very well could be zero, that we kind of have some chit chat in the YouTube stream chat. Oh, hey, look, we got Arcus with us.
Yeah.
Um,
Can you turn my volume up a little? I'm just hearing mine and kind of quiet.
yeah, give me just a sec.
Thank you. How you doing, Arcus? I see you in chat there. Yo.
Heads up, we can hear your computer really loud, or keyboard now really loud.
Oh,
Just as
good.
a forewarning. So
Yeah.
yeah, we're just gonna go ahead and it's mostly gonna be chit chat. We're gonna talk about some of the new announcements that we have coming up for oneleif, and all the new cool stuff that Zach and I have come up with recently. I don't even have the agenda up. We're just gonna kind of wing it. Let me scroll back. All right, so the latest announcement. We have a poll for oneleif swag. Let's go check in on that guy, see how he's doing. It looks like the biggest vote so far is for t-shirts. We put a week on that, right? Like,
Yeah, so I think this stream we'll check it out and kind of see what's the hottest or the hottest two, and then we can come up with designs and start coming with those as one swag. So,
well, nobody
yeah.
offered any other suggestions, so we're sticking with the core four that we got. It looks like the highest one is t-shirt. Then we got sweater, beanie, and pens. I didn't expect pens to win, to be quite honest. You got to throw in that fourth option for multiple choice. It's got to be that one that everybody knows is like obviously not the choice.
Yeah. Really, we're not gonna get the cool pens? Come on.
I should have
So
put
yeah,
socks. Why didn't I put socks? That would have been cool to
that's
have
what I was
socks.
kind of wondering. But at the point that I was gonna ask for socks, I was gonna ask for underwear and just the whole, kind of shebang of it. So I'm fine with sweater and t-shirts. I really like that. I think
Like
that's great.
like some quarter zips or some hoodies.
Yeah. I like the quarter zips or just the pullover.
We will have. Actually, I'm gonna put a post in here while we're at it. You know what? Since we're at everyone 87 times today, I'll do it in announcements. Actually, oh man, you know what? You know what's funny?
Hmm.
Where's it at? Last announcement for a bit. I promise.
Oh yeah,
we
that's
we've only okay. So for those of you who don't know Discord very well, the at everyone tag pings and gives everybody, it gives literally everyone in the server a notification, and we've done it 3 times today. So I somewhat apologize for blowing up your phone, but also don't apologize at all because we're doing some cool stuff. So yeah, look forward to Susie, Zach, and I designing some T-shirts and sweatshirts for you guys to vote on again in the coming week. Maybe at the next stream, we will go over the votes for those, and then open up a little like e-shop for everybody to order their T-shirts and sweatshirts.
yeah, that's funny. Last announcement for a bit. Lies. So, starting off the stream, I think Sabian had a cool idea of doing like a little meditation exercise just to kind of relax, forget about day at work and all that, and
Oh yeah.
other things like that.
How do
So
I
if we,
forget what I recommended?
yeah, I don't know how. Probably not that good.
All right.
But yeah, let's go through that.
All right, so in my martial arts classes, we have started the classes by doing your your bowing in, your little bit of cardio, and then meditation, right? So I don't want to do a full-on meditation session because that could be 30 minutes. But what I do want to do to kind of get everybody zoned in, get ready for the stream, is just take 30 seconds, do some deep breaths, get yourself relaxed, forget about what's happened today, forget it if you had a bad day, just get yourself focused on just enjoying the stream, participating, and having a good rest of your night. So we're gonna have 30 seconds of silence. Just do some very deep breaths. 5 seconds in, 5 seconds out.
Do we get to hear you breathe?
Okay,
No.
all right. Ready, set, go. Alrighty, that was 30 seconds. I don't know about you guys, but a little deep breathing session kind of squashes some anxiety, gets you back to your normal happy medium, puts you in a happy spot for you to enjoy the stream. So we're gonna probably end up doing that at the beginning of every stream, just as a heads up. I think it'd probably be awkward for the people that join the Discord and are like, "Why is it silent? What's going on?" But we're gonna do it anyways because I think it's important and a good thing to practice at the very least. Oh, am I
Yeah.
not? I just got your
No.
message. Am I not sharing?
Yeah, you weren't sharing, so I was
I'm
kind of
sorry.
guesstimating. I don't know what you're talking about. It's fine.
There you go.
So moving on after the meditation, let's kind of just talk about the active projects. Let's just hit that quick, and then we can go to direction, and then we can get into the streaming topics.
Alrighty. So on the oneleif website, there's been some PRs. The biggest update by far. I just made an announcement about this 20 minutes ago. Everybody was pushing to the master branch. I've updated the repository to it'll still let you push to the master branch, but it requires approval, and I'm going to say no every single time. Please go to the develop branch. That'll help us basically only push to master when we have our release. For those of you who aren't aware with Git, just kind of disregard this message. But for those of you who do know what's going on, that's an important message that you should pay attention to.
Yep, we're just trying to follow some Git flow, so we'll always work off of develop, do feature branches, defect branches, do a PR into develop, and then after enough PRs or commits in develop, we can actually do a PR for release, tag it as a release, and even have release branches and kind of get that Git flow going so everyone gets used to it. But small change, but it's easy.
All right, I'll go
So
ahead
just
and
push
pull
to
up
develop.
the GitHub real quick and see what we've got cooking since last week. I think the biggest updates were we added some new tickets to the board. No, don't mind me clicking on the wrong thing. Um, we want to update the contact info and about us page so that way we can get Google Ads going. Uh, the big thing that Zach and I are working on right now is taking the website in its current state and pushing it out to an Amazon Web Services server so that way we can point our hosting software to it so that way everybody can test the front end while they're developing on oneleif.com. At the same time, what we currently have will be available at oneleif.com. We can start advertising, we can start getting people in the group rather than shuffling people into the Discord. People are like, "Well, what is this thing? I don't quite know." The About Us page will kind of give you a bit of a background to that. I can move that to done. If we go over to the pull requests, we have one thanks to Dealin B or Chum.
Dylan?
Yeah, Daniel.
Daniel. I
Uh,
knew it started with a D.
Yeah. So he pushed it into master, and it's a fork. So we have to. The problem with that is that we have to go clone his forked repo, test it there, and then approve it. It's just a minor hassle that we don't like the senior developers to have to do because we're all super busy already. So the goal in the future is to have everybody be a member of the GitHub team, so that way you don't have to fork the repository. You can just clone it, make your change, push it up to develop, and we can approve it. So I'm gonna kill off your or I'm going to make you kill off your own pull request and then push it back up correctly. So that'll be the flow in the future. Next project we got, Zach, you got some awesome updates on Swift UI Kit.
Yeah, so I had Mohammed actually comment or make an issue on my uh, nice little project here. It was using @function builder. Yep. So function builder is a really cool addition to Swift, introduced in Swift 5.1. And right now you see that underscore, that means it's private. So it's not really released, but pretty much you can make a function builder on a static class that has some default methods. And you can pretty much use those methods. Sorry, slurring my words there. You can use those methods that you write as function builders as Swift UI uses them in the DSL manner. So instead of returning an array of something, you can do a DSL where you just do curly brackets and just list everything without an array, without commas, and it looks just like Swift UI. I'll have to give an example, but I don't really have one up for that. But yeah, it makes it a lot cleaner. But other than that, I have released version 1. And version 1 for Swift UI Kit was reduced from what it entirely entails. So I removed dynamic tables and also metal. So if you look down, here's everything that it includes, and you can kind of use. Now, Swift UI Kit, of course, is just UI Kit auto layout, and it's not really data. So you can really just create all the views super easy, and they'll all auto layout. You still have to manage the data and all that. But yeah, so that's come out, and I've been using it at work. I got a legacy build for 10.3. But other than that, I will keep working on some really cool features that I'm exploring.
The oneleif mobile app's still on hold until the oneleif website is done and good to go. It'll catch up real quick as soon as the oneleif website is past the functionality of the mobile app. This isn't a terribly high priority. The oneleif website is our main focus right now.
Yeah, I'd like to touch really quick is if anyone is interested in learning iOS or Android, feel free to use the OL Go or OneLeaf Go apps as kind of a playground if you want. We have multiple stacks, so feel free to ask questions or anything like that. But really, those are kind of just experimenting phases since they have some functionality. Yes, that's my stream. That's how I feel right now. But yeah, OL goes a little on pause, but really our focus is our website because, like Sabian said, we invite a lot of people to the Discord, and some people just don't know Discord. So it's not the best experience. And what we want is we want to have a website where we can show off all of our members, what they're doing, and also give a little bit of information about OneLeaf as a whole. Also, introduction to how to use Discord or other things like that, because it's kind of a balance of, all right, cool, they're in the Discord, but now we need to get you on the GitHub. And if we had a website that kind of just explained the joining process, then that would help us tremendously. So are you loading up the good old website really quick? Cool.
I just wanted to see it.
Nice.
No. Okay. All right.
Oh
Well, I'm not even gonna bother to debug that on the stream. I just want to see if I can get it to work real quick.
yeah, Will's watching right now. He's really disappointed.
Will, what you do?
All right.
It's probably my fault. I probably typed in the wrong command.
I blame Sabian. All
Don't
right, so
don't ask me about front end.
moving on, we have
Oh, yep. Bunny hop.
yes.
Not a
There's
130.
quite a bit changed, right? Since
Yeah,
last time.
like a whole lot, like 0 messages in 10 days.
Yeah.
Uh,
So if Sabian's not going to talk about it, the
uh,
project actually got split. Do you want to talk about that?
yeah, so the bunny hop game was made because the multiplayer code is such a pain in the butt. However, I finally decided to bite the bullet and learn about multiplayer networking code. If you want to do multiplayer networking, don't. It sucks. uh, so yeah, the Bunny Hop Master will remain as its current project. I actually want to update the portal mechanics. I found this awesome tutorial. I'm gonna go to the website because it's freaking amazing. Uh, I found this random post on I think the Unity subreddit where they go through like the actual like portal code, or not the actual portal code, but like they recreate the portal code, right? So you can make portals and it does the correct physics and whatnot, which is way better than the custom implementation I had because apparently my math sucks. So I'm going to go back and add in this guy's implementation because it is a billion times better, and make that kind of the base for when I branch off into the multiplayer version. I don't even know if there's going to be portals in the multiplayer version, but this should be like my last good step to making sure that the bunny hop project is like ready to go. Yeah, you're not wrong. Live demos 100% always fail. Trust me, I've
Yeah, yeah,
demoed so many things at work, and uh, fun fact for you. So we had the sorry, we don't have anything like 100% dedicated for this stream, so I'm gonna go off on a tangent. We had I don't want to use like specifics here because I'm not sure what I'm allowed to tell about work, but we had the client or a client that would have been worth a lot of money at work come in for a demo, and the demo was scheduled for I think 9:30, and I get downstairs to like test the demo, make sure everything's working at 9:20. Nothing's working. Like completely 100% broken, and this client's worth like several $1 million. And so it hits 9:30. They're supposed to come down. Our like QA person goes, you know what? I'll just text the lady that's upstairs, like currently entertaining them, and tell her to entertain them for longer. So we figured out like 15 minutes later, they come down, everything works out great, but it could have been like catastrophic. And thankfully, so like we had like 2 days of demos. The first day of demos was to like the internal uh, collaborators on that client, and then the second day was like the actual like project managers of the client itself. So like if it, if it wouldn't have been working the second day, we would have been in a predicament. Anyways, that was a unnecessary tangent. Okay, so bunny hop, lots of stuff going on. I have a lot of work to do, but I've been doing a lot of management stuff for oneleif that's been keeping my focus currently. So for vampire framework, uh, Z was supposed. I bugged him about an hour ago, 30 minutes ago for an update. However, he's in a different time zone and is busy. So I'm just going to go ahead and show off some videos of some stuff he was working on. So he was working on an avoidance algorithm, which, as you can see here, the little green dot is kind of what they're supposed to avoid. And he's been working on this really cool state machine. Okay, I didn't notice that he called his game objects Angry Boy. I'm kind of happy about that. But he's working on getting like a full scale example of what his state machine, of what his RPG framework can do for you. So I'm super pumped to see where he goes with this. Sorry, I just keep checking the stream logs. So that's our active project stand up. Look forward to a lot of updates coming out to the oneleif website. Look forward to it becoming public. And yeah, you want to move on, Zach? You want to go check out streaming channel and whatnot?
yeah, yeah. Let's check out the streaming channel.
Let's see what we got. I don't think anything was terribly new. Haha, me asking people to ask questions. And then the idea for the meditation.
Yep. So let's. You want to talk about the meetup?
Ooh, hell yeah. Okay, we have this hidden channel that you're not allowed to know about. Okay, so the meetup, uh, for those of you who are unaware, Zach and I live in Omaha. The other leader, Susie, lives in Omaha. Nebraska is the state, and the country is the United States for people that are not from the area. Um, the meetup is basically focused on open source. It's kind of a platform or a way for oneleif to kind of help the community. Uh, it's not 100% specifically geared towards Omaha, but we kind of want to use it as our pilot to kind of figure out the setup that's necessary to make this work well. And we have I repeat, one person RSVP'd for the next meetup. I'm kind of pumped about it. I don't care if we have one or 100. Any number of people that are interested in what we're doing is awesome. Um, so not only does this help the community grow and make us look better, it also gives us some credibility that we're doing things with the community. It also allows you in your specific community, if you were to make a meetup, to meet new people, to network, to help you find people that are smarter than you, and help people that are less smart than you, or I don't want to say smart, less experienced than you, find people that are more experienced and find a mentor and whatnot. So it's just an all around good thing. If you're interested in starting a meetup in your own city, reach out to us. We'll see if we can't like buy you pizza and beer for your meetup. We'll see if we can't call around wherever the hell you live and find you a place that you can host your meetup. Does that cover everything, Zach? Did I miss anything?
Yeah, yeah, mainly. I think just touching on kind of the main topics about it, like Sabian said, well, this is a great example of what you're showing right now. So the few topics is, of course, kind of replacing the One Leaf stream for 30 minutes. So we'll still talk about kind of what's going down at One Leaf, what's happening, any announcements, anything like that. Followed by discussing One Leaf projects or how One Leaf manages open source work, how you could also use open source for your own projects, or how anything like that. It's very broad topic, and it's meant to be because we don't want to specifically talk about any kind of tech stack or anything like that. We really want to leave it open for open source. And then after that, it will follow with a specific topic about something that can be applied to multiple different languages. So this one is higher order functions. So you can use higher order functions in Swift, Kotlin, JavaScript, and even C Sharp and multiple other languages. So it kind of expands across languages. And then the last part of it is katas and also a workshop. So really, if you bring your laptop, you can work on anything at the end. You can work on a One Leaf project. We can, help you with your project or anything like that. But those are kind of the topics that we'd like to hit. Now, as Sabian said, we're trying to expand, but this is our first pilot in Omaha. And just a reminder, if you do want to start a meetup, an open source meetup, we'd love to help you. And we'd love to help plan and manage it too. So feel free to hit us up. But other than that, yeah, just an open source meetup starting, and it's very young. So
Direction announcements.
No. Well, yeah, let's go to direction. I think that'll
I
lead
think I
into
think
the
there was
other
some
one I
new
was talking
stuff.
about.
Yeah,
Because at
yeah,
the
yeah.
very end, it's the new daily coder.
Yeah, so we used to have this channel called 100 Days of Code, and for those of you who are unaware, it's kind of a challenge where you want to do something for 100 days. You want to do something in the programming realm for 100 days, right? Well, we want to kind of extrapolate from this because OneLeaf isn't just programmers, right? We have web developers, we have game developers, we have UI designers, we have 3D modelers. Hell, I believe we even have a few audio designers. We even have people that own their own nonprofit. We have people in all professions. Our goal is to make you productive in whatever you want to do. And one of the things that we've noticed after talking to a lot of the not only younger crowd but busier crowd is that they need someone to hold them accountable, right? So during work hours, obviously people are getting things done, but outside of work hours, it's kind of hard to motivate yourself or keep yourself accountable to get things done. So the goal is to open this daily code channel, and everybody who we're gonna actually go to interests. So we added this interests little explanation here. We're calling it the Daily Growth Program. We didn't want to call it. Okay, we have the Daily Code and Daily Coder, but Daily Growth is the concept that we're trying to get at here. Whether it's programming, watching a YouTube video, cleaning up your GitHub repository, something to keep you productive once a day, every day for a minimum of 30 minutes. That way you get in the habit of getting things done, and once you have that 30 minutes a day, you'll come to find that you're at minute 29 and you're like, oh, I still have like a lot I could do and I would like actually enjoy doing because I'm getting things done. I feel productive. I feel accomplished. And you'll be surprised that after, I believe Zach made, Zach, I want to say forced me or whipped me into getting 30 minutes of code done a day. And now I'm to the point where I get home from work and like all I want to do is get things done because I feel very accomplished and like I've learned a lot. So I'd like to share that with other people. And the way that we want to do that is by helping you hold yourself accountable. So we're going to check in. So if you respond to this by clicking on the reaction, it will unlock this daily code channel for you. And what we'll do is we're going to go through everybody in this channel every day. I'm going to bug every single one of you and make sure that you got something done today. And if you haven't, I'm going to make you feel bad for it because you should feel bad.
Yeah.
And it's for your own good, right? Like we want you to do good things. We want you to feel accomplished.
Yeah. Do you want to go to Dev Talk? I think it was. I left some tips for Tina that I think it would be pretty good to just kind of conversate on. Yeah. So going through this, the reason we want to kind of do a 30-minute reminder or just kind of put it in the back of your head is if you want to be a better programmer or a better designer or a better anything, well, first you have to think that you are that already. And then you have to think, what would I do if I'm already like that? And just the 30 minutes puts in the back of your head, and it kind of makes a really good habit of what could I work on today? Or what could I do? I've said some simple things of smaller commits are better. If you do, 5 huge commits in one day and you take, 4 hours to do this work, Well, I mean, you could have split that up over how many days and probably been a little bit more sane. And also may have, not done that much rework if you do take it over like a week of work, because then you have days to think about what you're doing and
And
you have more clear head.
And I found that you'll actually end up being more productive. Because what ends up happening, you'll start doing this giant amount of refactoring, this giant amount of work. You'll get decently into it, and then you'll be juggling onto so many concepts in your head that you intimidate yourself into not working on it. And then you'll come back to it months later and have just such a hard time getting into it. If you can break your work down into small incremental steps, it'll just be like, oh, this only like takes like 5 minutes. Like, why wouldn't I do this? You know?
Yeah, yeah, great points. So another thing that I said was that if you can create stupid or simple projects that are just fun to work on, I've always said that one of my first projects I started on is a text adventure, and I mean that's really dumb because it's just a console asking, "What's your name? Where do you want to go?" But the more you can dive into it, the more layers you can add on complexity or just kind of I don't know what other like kind of not complexity, I guess I'm saying, but the more layers you can add to the project of different things that you like to work on, I guess that's kind of weird of saying that, but the better it is. So no matter how dumb it is, if it's a tap game that checks your reaction time, just keep working on it and it will be polished up. So don't think any project is too dumb. Really start from the bottom and work yourself up. Yeah.
That was the funniest thing today.
Okay, what else was on there? I don't know why you scrolled. Uh,
I think that was about it for the dev talk. It was basically try and hold yourself accountable, but that is hard for people. Have someone help you hold yourself accountable.
Oh yeah, you missed the most important part at the bottom. Okay, so there's a whole topic of excuses, and excuses need to be called out.
Where?
Unless it's an actual like
Oh.
reason, excuses are the easiest thing to be, why didn't I do this? And
Oh,
if
I was
you
busy. Oh, I was making dinner. Oh, I was doing X.
And Sabian knows this more than anyone. I don't stand for excuses. I'm sorry you're busy, but you have to find time. You have to have time, or you have to give up something to do what you want. So maybe there's a compromise in that, but that's kind of what overall tips I have. Definitely thinking about what you did today and what you plan on doing tomorrow is just a good habit to have. But yeah, this is kind of the sum up of what the daily coder is going to be. We're going to be your whip holders. We're going to make sure that you're doing what you want to do or you're being as good as you want to be. But yeah, I think that's pretty much it. So
Yeah, let's go. I think we have a couple other announcements. Yep, so replace 100 days of code.
yeah, Arcus says he has this problem all the time. Well, that's too bad. You're not going to have it anymore. Hopefully. I mean, that's the goal. But really, it's just a community effort to make us all better.
Meetup. Ah, the last one, the last big announcement. Um, okay, so as you should know by now, okay, sorry for this window. This is Zach screen sharing, so you can see me as I move and not be a couple seconds behind watching the stream.
Getting
Um,
it.
as you know, Zach, Susie, and I are the community moderators. We are looking for more, right? So things that we do, obviously, we moderate the Discord, make sure nobody's, being rude. Not that that's ever really been a problem. I think people that we've invited have been nothing but grateful and awesome in the team. But that is something to watch out for. Uh, help us make new channels, help us come up with ideas. Um, the biggest thing that we're looking for right now is somebody to help us manage the public relations, the Twitter, the LinkedIn, the YouTube. That's not something that we're bad at, but it's not something that we have an overwhelming interest in. So it's something that we could use someone with a high motivation for those things that wants to be a social media manager or is just interested in promoting OneLeaf. So if that is something that you're interested in, that'd be awesome. Feel free to apply by just messaging one of the channels, messaging one of us privately. But if that's not something that you're interested in, but you still enjoy the concept of OneLeaf, just reach out to us and say, I'd like to take on a leadership role. I'd like to learn how to manage people. I'd like to learn to help other people overcome their problems. We can find a role for you. If it's not public relations, it could just be like a designated mentor role or something along those lines. Anything to add to that one, Zach?
No, I don't think so. Other than specifically for the public relations for the posts that we make, we all work together on it. It's just we need someone to kind of champion, like, hey, I want to make a post today, or that stuff. Other than that, we've been really just posting when it's most necessary, like, hey, we have a meetup, or hey, join the Discord, kind of bugging people. But we don't have that daily kind of personal aspect a lot of other social media platforms have, or not platforms, but companies have. Like, I guess Wendy's is a good example on Twitter. They're pretty savage, especially when you show McDonald's and anything. But kind of just having that presence too. We really want to be more outreaching for other social medias like Twitter and LinkedIn. But yep, I think we beat the dead horse enough. We're looking for other people to help manage the community. Feel free to message any of the community managers, and we'd love to chat.
I think that kind of covers it for announcements. I'm gonna check direction real quick. Oh, so with the daily coder thing, we are looking to either make a tool or find a tool that kind of helps us manage you guys. Right now, we're just gonna use the Discord channel, check in with you guys. But Zach and I are looking into tools like Trello and other to-do list style things that'll help us manage what I assume is going to be an overwhelming amount of people that would like someone to help hold them accountable. So if you have any ideas, feel free to reach out. Tina came out with a great idea for Quire, Quire, and it was a pretty cool app. I don't think it quite fits exactly what we need, but it was a good suggestion nonetheless. I think that covers like all the topics that were like pressing, but
So there's one main topic that Sabian's forgetting.
whoa, 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 what is it?
So Sabian, I have a question for you.
I'm listening.
What would you call if we started a stream right now in the stream?
Uh, what?
Trying to lead into recursion, but you're not that expert.
Oh my goodness! How did I forget about this? Okay,
Ah!
all right. So we were chit chatting with. Oh man, I had so much discussion today.
A peaceful mind, right?
Yeah,
It's
it
right
was a
there.
peaceful mind. Yeah, yeah. Oh, there it is. So peaceful mind was having some struggles understanding recursion. Rightfully so. I hated recursion when I first found out about it. Um, you wanna just like open up you want me to just like open up Visual Studio so we can debug and walk through it and like show what the values are every iteration?
Uh,
Or do we want
I
to
mean,
talk
if
about the concept of it, or what are you thinking here?
I mean, you have the computer, I would say talk about it,
All
and
right.
then if we think we need to do code, we can do code examples.
All right, you know what? We'll see what Google has to say on the topic.
Ooh, no, 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 don't do that. Oh,
Ooh, it did it for. Okay, so recursion, right? So in programming, recursion is a concept that is equivalent to iteration, right? So everybody, I don't want to say everybody, most people, most programmers should be aware of the for loop. You iterate through. Hold on, sorry, checking the questions. Streamception. Actually, hold on. Have you seen Drost effect?
yes.
The Drost effect is a good example of recursion, right? So recursion is the use of going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper on something until you hit some sort of base case, right? Base case in this case being I can't see that small. There's not enough pixels on the screen to see any farther, right? So let's just take like what the most simple example, right? Fractals are a good example of recursion, right? They take like a big triangle, they turn it into a smaller triangle, and then smaller triangles and smaller triangles and so on, right? So my understanding of recursion, I hardly ever use it, solely because it can be in-performant, and it's not necessarily intuitive to me. It doesn't. It's not a. It's not a concept that comes naturally. However, there are cases in which it can be useful. Um, there are some problems that are actually more intuitively solved with recursion. So, for example, factorials. A factorial, for those unaware, don't mind my public SSH key. Gonna delete that and that and that. Okay, so factorial. Sorry. A factorial, right? So the mathematical notation is the exclamation point, right? And what this uh, function means is 4 factorial is equivalent to 4 times 3 times 2 times 1, right? And so how would you make a factorial using recursion? Well, the first function call would just pass in the number that you want to call a factorial on, and then you call that function again with 1 lower and then 1 lower until you hit the base case, which is 1, right? That is the most simple example I can think of.
Oh, yeah. But first, let's talk about that, because you said things that I don't think people will understand. And the first thing you always talk about in recursion is the base case. Other than that, if you don't have a base case, you have infinite recursion.
It's kind of like climbing a ladder, right? In order to make a ladder, you need the bottom rung, and then the rung above that, and so on and so on and so on. You can have an infinite ladder, but you need the bottom rung on a ladder to get started climbing said ladder.
So can you please type out a for loop? Like, let's do I equals 0 and I is less than 10. Let's just do a really basic for loop and kind of talk about the similarities of recursion in this for loop. Because all recursion or all loops are made from pretty much recursion
So
at some point.
iteration, meaning for loops and while loops, are computationally equivalent to some recursive function. Is that the correct explanation?
Yes.
Okay, so
Yes.
what that means is for any for loop, we can, without any doubt, turn that in to a recursive function call. So let's just start out with the for loop, going from I being whatever the name of the variable that we're iterating over. In this case, an integer starting at 0 and going up to 10, right? So when I go into these brackets, it will loop over, and anything inside of these brackets will be called 11 times. 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Or if we take off the equal sign, it'll go up to 9, so it'll be called 10 times, right? And we could do the equivalent thing by saying, I hate typing it out because anybody that's used to like Python or JavaScript won't know the notation that I usually use, which is
Just do pseudocode.
all right, all
So
right.
we have some method, we
Yeah,
have some function, and that some function will take in an int.
for
Oh, I don't know.
each
I don't
number
think you're
in
right.
a list of numbers,
Oh,
do the following.
yeah.
And the following will be, I don't know, you want to just add it, you just want to sum the numbers. Does that sound reasonable?
I don't know what you're typing now.
No! All right, we'll stick with the factorial topic.
Well, I mean, you're doing a for each, which is literally in most languages. So I can't type, so I can't really help you.
Hold on, do you want to open up TeamViewer?
Yeah, I guess. I mean, is there one that we can see? There needs to be a program online that we can just type in together, like Tmux.
Wait a minute. Do you want to open up Visual Studio Code?
Yeah, let's just do that. Let's
All
do that quick. Because yeah, I feel like if we work on it together, it's better to understand. Recursion is really hard to understand. You look at this function, and regardless, most recursive functions will be smaller than their for loop or while loop or just normal counterpart, and that's because it calls itself. So it looks really weird because the last case or the else or whatever is gonna call itself in something else. And at first that looks really weird to most people, and that's completely normal.
Can we not open up an empty workspace? New file. Fuck it. We'll do it this way.
Another kind of joke example of recursion that I have is how I manage my desktop. So I have items on my desktop that kind of fill up my desktop every once in a while. Like I'll have 15 items, screenshots, files, etc. on my desktop, and every time I get around that number, I just select everything on my desktop and archive it. Now that does include the previous archived version, so I will get rid of those 15 things. I'll only have this zipped file in my desktop. Let's say I get another 14 things and I zip it again. I will keep zipping that previous zip, and that's kind of a stupid example of recursion, would you say, Sabian? I mean, it's not like literally, but at some point, it's archiving the archive that I just archived that has an archive in it that also has, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's more of a literal one, but like it doesn't have a base case, I guess. But get this up right now. Oof.
I'm just gonna coding. I have too many folders. It doesn't let me open a workspace with text files. This is what I get for not knowing enough about Visual Studio Code. New file. What language do you want to work in? Pseudocode?
I was saying pseudocode.
All right, we'll see if it just lets me do. Where's the this one? Yeah, this one. Okay, invite. So for those of you who don't know, Visual Studio has this live share functionality. It'll let us basically have a Google Docs for code. Oops, somebody pinged me. I will help you in a second. Okay, you in?
Yep.
All right. So if Zach starts typing in my, oh, you're gonna see a bunch of files, aren't you?
Yep.
We're in a VR project that I was working on. I don't know why it won't let me open a different one.
It says you're not currently editing a shared document.
What's one of the things that we were working on previously that I could use? One OL website React. OL website app.
Ugh.
Source. No. Left the collaboration session.
Yeah, I'm done. All right, so
all right, we're just gonna be done with that one. Oh no, I closed
just
YouTube.
go with open folder. Come on, listen to Arcus.
Whoop. Just go with open folder. Yeah, that would be a smart idea, wouldn't it?
Yeah, I don't know why you're trying to open files. Bruh.
I don't know. Don't save. I don't want any of you. Haha, we have our one text file. Okay, cool. All right.
Oh my goodness,
My bad.
Arcus. We need you in the stream.
Starting a collaboration session. Come on. I believe in you. I promise. I allow you into my firewall. There's the new link.
All right, that took a while.
No, I don't know what you're talking about. It went fine.
Oof. All right, whatever.
All right, you in? Can you see?
Yep.
Hey, there we go. All right. Hey, sweet.
Okay.
All right, so we got a for loop, and we got our recursive function call.
Yep. Okay, cool. Let's get that for loop example back up, please. Thank you.
I pseudocoded it. All right.
Okay. Yeah, that's fine. I'll just do the basic function name. I'll just go with basic syntax of that.
All right. So rather than just gonna have it
Okay.
default to 0.
Yeah. Okay. So let's dissect this really quick. So if you look, this for loop has int I, which is the first value it starts as. So we can think of that is the int I equals 0, or let's just think of it as any number. In this case, n is any number. Let's say positive, just to be positive. Oh my goodness. No one make fun of me for not knowing how to spell positive in any spot. I'm just trying to get this ball rolling. So this can be any number. So the same thing about this. So if I call name and I pass in 0. That's the exact same thing we're doing right here. Okay. So what we're talking about the base case is the second statement right here. I is always less than 10. Once I is 10 or greater, then this for loop goes here. It breaks. It gets out of it. Breaks, spelled out, whatever.
Spell it with a British formatting.
It's this Visual Studio Code, man. I swear. Okay, so to get that same effect, we've said base case a lot. So the first line you're going to type is the base case, and that's if I is greater than or equal to 10, well, we just want to return I in that case, or we just want to return whatever. I mean, we could just return. I guess technically we're not returning anything in this function, but we're just going to end at that point. So that's kind of the same thing as right here. Or
this is the bottom rung of the ladder. So if we start at the top of the ladder, wherever the ladder is at, and we pull one rung off the ladder as we're going down, whenever we hit the bottom rung, that is the base case. We've dismantled the thing that we're trying to do down to the point where it cannot go any farther.
Sorry, Arcus, I meant positive 0. No, I'm just kidding. Zero is a fun number. Shut up about it. No, that was a good call. But other than that, let's just say we want to print I for our every time in the for loop we want to print I. So this would run 0 and it would go till 9. So it would print each one of those individually 0 to 9. So if we want the same thing in this recursive case, we pretty much just write that, right? I mean, okay, cool. It's not recursive yet. So how do we get the recursive case? If this print is just printing one line, then blah, blah, blah. If it's a print line, this is semantics that I don't really want to get in, and it doesn't really matter. The part
that does matter is sorry, you notice that. The part that does matter is you call the function again, right? But you pass whatever it is that you're changing. So in the for loop case, you see this little plus plus, and that means between each of the iterations of this for loop, we're adding 1, right? That's just the notation. So we could say I plus equal to 1, right? In some languages, I guess. Anyways, so what we do in this case is we just say we'd return I plus 1, right?
Yep.
Cool. So what this would do is these two functions are computationally equivalent at this point, right? They both start at 0 they both start at whatever number we pass in.
I guess we could change that.
I.
Yep. So they both start at whatever number we pass in. Yep. All right, cool.
So if we were to, for example, call name at 0, what this would print out would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. This would be the output of this function, right? Unless we, tell it to print lines, and there'd be like a, an enter between each one of these. But unnecessary, complicated. Yeah. Shh. That didn't happen.
Yeah, because this is it. Oh. Prefix, postfix.
We're not gonna talk about that.
Yeah. We're really not trying to get into like actually what the code does. We're just trying to get you the general example of it. In most cases, you wouldn't write a recursive function like this because it's not returning. It's not, it like how we said it. They're exactly the same. So you'd most likely want a for loop. But most recursive functions return, and they will return themselves with another value. So let's go in, and I'm going to copy the example that we got earlier today. It's in Dev Talk, or is it General? No, Dev Talk. General? I forget. Sabian, help. Here it is.
I'm pretty sure it's Dev Talk.
No, it's General.
I take it back.
So if we get rid of all this and put in this nice function. So let's talk about this, because this is the example that came up in questions about this, or they were trying to wrap their brain around this. So if we split this up, here's our base case. You don't need this else. That's just, adding another scope. I mean, it's totally up to your opinion if you want if else, because If you return in the if, you automatically don't go to the else or any other line. So if n is less than or equal to 0, that is our base case. So we'll start by writing base case n is less than or equal to 0. Okay. Otherwise, if n is not 0 or negative or less than 0 or anything like that, we do not go into here and we're going to call ourselves again. Okay. So the example I was discussing, we have this array and we just have 1, 2, 3. Okay. So then I'm going to call multiply and I'm going to pass in this array and I want n to start at 2. FYI, the count of this array is 3. I can't type. But the index, the max index is 3 minus 1, which is 2. So I'm doing stupid math on here. But if we passed in 3, we'd get an index out of bounds. So let's just not do that. Let's start with 2. Okay? So n is 2. So what I like to do for these is literally type it all out. And that's kind of what I did in the Discord. But n is 2. So now we're going to replace n with 2. And we're just going to walk through this dumb logic thing. I mean, dumb by we don't have dynamic variables at this point. We have, is 2 less than 0? No. So we're going to go to here. We're going to look at this. You can put this aside for right now because we have a value that we can actually get. And array at 2. Array at 2, change the name, is 3, is the value 3. Okay? So what you can do is you can put in your side, like your big return statement, we have 3 times something multiply. Okay? All right. So what does multiply do? It does 2 minus 1. So our next one that we're going to do is n is 1. And we're going to do the exact same thing. And just jumping around here. Oh, it's following you. That's why. Okay. All right. Thank you. Okay. So now we have n is 1. Is 1 less than or equal to 0? No. So now we're going to go to that statement. Now we're just going to add to our list and we're going to add 2. Okay. So we have another multiply to call. And at this point, 1 minus 1 is 0. So n is now 0. And we're going to call this, apparently, because of the base case, we're going to call this one more time. And this is the time. So boom, boom, boom. All right, awesome. So we get in here. We have the array. We have 0. Is 0 less than or equal to 0? Yes. So then this one right here, this multiply function is actually 1 because array at 1. So then the final statement we get, and this is what trips up a lot of people, is 3 times 2 times 1. And the reason it is that is because we called this function 3 times. So we get 3 values, but each time it minus 1. So that's how I walk through it, is actually do the case.
Let's follow this back up, right? So this guy, right? Array at 1 is actually 2, right? So this is 2. And then this guy, this function returns 1, right? So this is 1 times 2, right?
Mm-hmm.
So then we come back up here. This guy is what we just examined down here, right? Which is going to return 2. And this guy is 3. So what this whole call is going to return is actually 6, right? Which is what we calculated here. These are just each of the individual steps that were calculated as the functions were recursing.
Yep. And the last case will not hit this recursive case. So you can think of the most base case or the most basic case. The last one, the bottom rung of the ladder, is just returning its value in this sense.
So if we were to absolutely simplify exactly everything that happened here, if we were to simplify everything that happened as you were doing this, This was never called. This was never called. This is exactly what would be happening, right? You would first call this function passing in 2. It would go down to this function. This function would go down into this function. This guy returns 1, fills in this value. This guy returns 2, fills in this value, and then this whole function returns 6. And this is what we're left with.
Yep.
If this is still confusing, you may want to look at the concept of a stack, or a function stack, or a stack trace. Basically, as you call a function within inside a function, all it does is it stacks one function on top of the other, and then whenever you're done, and whenever the function that you're in, it pops that off the stack and goes back down to whatever one you were at before. So even in this case right here, like if all we have is this right here, the if like let's just say this is in like our main method, or yeah, our main method right here, right? Our main method is where we started out, right? Oop, oop, oop. Our main method started out, it called multiply. The multiply function is now put, if our stack was here, we'd have main on bottom, we'd have multiply, and it would be passed in 2, and then it would stack on top of that, multiply 1 and multiply 0, right? And then multiply 0 hits the base case, it returns, it goes down to this guy, and so on, and then we get back to the main method, and then the program's over because the main method is over, and then boom, we're done. And all we're left with is the number 6. Ta-da!
Yeah, that's kind of the run through of the intro to recursion.
If that was not sufficient in understanding what is going on, um, for a peace of mind, we can run through more examples, because I think in coding you'll learn one way of doing it, and then you'll see like, oh, well, like this variable is named this, so obviously I have to name it this when I'm doing it this other way. But so if you see more and more examples of it, you can see how things differ and why things are the way they are.
Yep. And specifically, the example I learned best off of for recursion is kind of funny because you're not actually supposed to use recursion for it, but it was Fibonacci. And I remember this is so funny because I learned Fibonacci recursion with Java in high school, and I went to a coding competition, and there's Fibonacci. So what did I use?
Java.
Well, that's redundant. Of course, I used Java because that's all I knew back then. But no, I used recursion, and it did not solve it in time. And that's because Fibonacci should not be solved in recursion. It takes too long. And as Sabian was saying, let's say I have Fibonacci 7. So if you do you want to? Oh wait, you got rid of the
I'll open it back
Visual
up.
Studio. Ah!
Sorry.
So what Sabian was saying is that if we give that multiply function to, it digs down until it hits the base case and then it comes back up. So if you have a really deep nested recursive function like Fibonacci, it's really not going to be performant. You need to do the for loop variation other than the recursive. So that's one of the examples that recursion is really not the best solution for.
And one of the reasons for that is that not only are you doing the calculation for Fibonacci, and then for those of you who don't know what Fibonacci means, just Google it so we don't have to explain it. So the reason it's so expensive is not only are you doing the calculation for figuring out what the Fibonacci numbers are, you also have the metadata for the function call itself on the stack. So you're not just doing 1 plus 2, and then 2 plus 3, and then 3 plus 4, and so on. You're actually calling those function calls, which in any language have some sort of overhead built into calling a function and putting it on top of the stack.
Yeah. So diving in a little bit more, do you know how complex it is to solve given Fibonacci sequence, Sabian?
Is it n squared?
I'm trying to check just to make sure I like say it correctly.
Hold on. I have a Java version pulled up. We can just look at the. Oh, no, I don't. Haha, now I do. That's not recursion. Recursion, haha. Do, 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 do. N minus 2, n minus 1. So 2 n? N squared?
Mm,
2 n squared?
I forget. I know how to do it, but I totally forget the actual.
Okay, so if there's 10 numbers, it has to branch off and go to this guy. Yeah, it would be 2 n.
Okay, okay.
I mean, I could be wrong. Hold on. Big
Okay.
O notation Fibonacci recursion. No. Space complexity O n. Boop boop. Time complexity O n.
So yeah, Arcus has the good example. So if we wanted to find the seventh, and what this is saying is we want to find the seventh Fibonacci number. And like Arcus said, it starts as 1, 0, 1, 1, whoops, 2. Okay, so that's the start of the Fibonacci. You add the last two characters and you get the next one. So 0 plus 1 is, of course, 1. So then the first one is 0, and then we have 1, and then we have 1, and now 1 plus 1 is 2. So now we have 0, whoops, 0, 1, 1, 2. And I spoiled the next number because 1 plus 2 is 3. And I'm not going to go through this anymore. So we have 0, 1, 2, 3. So then the next one will be 5, and it'll go up. But what is the 7th? And to know the 7th, you have to calculate all the ones before it. So that's why it is so expensive. Because instead of just having two numbers like a for loop can do, like if I start with two variables, say variable I1 is 0 and variable I2, horrible names, is that. All I need is, some for loop with something in it. I'm not really going to talk about it, but the new number is just I1 plus I2. And I think it's like you replace I1, but like I said, I'm not going into it. I don't like the problem that much. It's just a great example of why not to use recursion for this one.
But yeah, you had a good point. In recursion, you have to remember all the numbers in the for loop. You just need these two and the one that it turns into.
Yep.
So if you try and do a Fibonacci of 100, you're gonna run out of RAM.
Yeah. So the last thing I'll just say on the Fibonacci sequence and recursion is if I wanted to find the 20th number, if I wanted to find fib 20, well, that means that I need to find fib 18 and add fib 19 together to get fib 20, right, Sabian?
Yep. And then for fib 18, you need 17 and 16, and for fib 19, you need 18 again and 17.
So yeah, we're doing computations twice or more, or it seems, so that's also another reason. But it's really weird topic when we started by saying, yeah, or recursion is kind of the same as for loops, but then there's certain cases where it's not as good. Now, I'm not too well versed in Fibonacci. I don't know if you can make it more performant with recursion than anything, because once the time complexity or all that computation goes for what we just went over, you have to compute 18 and 17 to get 19 and 16 and 17 to get 18
Oh,
and just
you just make a cache so that way you can reach
yes,
into.
yep, and that's the solution. And at that point that you're not using just pure recursion, or it's not just stupidly easy, you should probably rethink it. So that's kind of the big discussion that we just have on recursion. I don't have any more to say. If you do have questions still or do not understand recursion to some aspect, feel free to shoot us a message. Feel free to post and help and ask us specific questions, because generally talking about recursion, I think we hit it kind of maybe on the head here for like specifically what I think of recursion. So I don't really have much more to say about recursion unless you do, Sabian.
No, I think I never
I don't
use
want to beat a dead horse.
I never use recursion. Like I don't think it's absolutely necessary.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a weird one because you can use it,
No, yeah.
but at the
Did you see
point that you're
Arcus's point?
using it. Oh, it just came in for me.
Some searching and sorting algorithms do in fact use recursion. Like for example, he put quicksort. I think merge sort. It's a binary
I want to say heap
algorithm
sort, but yeah, no, that's a great point.
or binary search. That's what I was thinking of.
Yeah,
But anyways, yeah, some things are better solved with recursion. The vast majority are easier to understand using for loops or
yeah.
iteration, as it's called professionally or
Yep.
academically. There we go. That's the word.
So yeah, just making sure that if you do choose to use, just make sure you know why you're choosing that. Don't just pick, I want to use recursion because I don't want to use the for loop.
Or the other way around.
Yes, exactly. Make sure you know the trade-offs, and that's kind of what programming is all about. Is there's always positive and negatives. There's not 100% positives. So you get more complexity with recursion, but you might get better time complexity. So, but yeah, great topic on its own. You could talk hours on recursion.
Well, I don't really have anything else set up for this stream, so I think we hit our hour mark. I think we're good to go. Unless anybody else has any input or questions, I think we can probably cut it off here.
Yeah. Do you want to look at a kata quick and try to solve one, and then we can call it a day? Or I just hate to ask for questions and then wait 5 seconds and close it. It's just like, no.
Hold on. There was more notifications.
Okay, yeah.
Okay. Nothing on the stream. Never mind.
Okay.
Yeah, I think people are still like 10 seconds behind, so we're just gonna sit here in quiet. I think we're probably good by now. But yeah, thanks everybody for joining. I appreciate it. Thanks for all the input, Arcus.
Yep.
Well, I'm gonna go watch Star Wars 5. So
Oof.
or episode 5. Yeah, that's
Oh
the
yeah, there you
correct name.
go. Jeez. Episode 7.
I'm watching them all sequentially in the order that you're not supposed to because want to watch
Ugh.
them. I want to watch them
What,
chronologically all the way up to 9.
what's your favorite one so far?
3.
3.
Yeah, do another breathing. Okay, if I do that, I'm just gonna end the stream. Tell you to do another breathing, and then I'll fall asleep.
Sip on some scotch and go to bed.
Unless you're under 21, then we don't advise.
Dude. Yeah, that's that, but whatever. All right. Well, I'm going to go do some work. It was great having the stream with you. I will see all of you on Discord.
See ya.
Peace. Bye.